Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of What's Going On in There, a podcast where we sit down with business leaders from our region and hear about what's currently happening inside their walls, the good, the bad, the challenges and triumphs, and particularly today we'll undoubtedly touch on a little bit of the familial as well, and we'll get to that in just one moment. But first things first, I'm Stephen Tomlinson, and my esteemed colleague and co-host Angie Russell is here with me again for episode number 2. Of what is essentially guaranteed to become the greatest series of media content ever created. We're taking the Nick Messino approach to promotion. If you say it enough, it's just going to come true. Angie, how are you today?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to be here as well. And we've got in our second episode, we've got an embarrassment of riches. We have two guests who we could have an hour-long podcast with either one of them. We have with us my old dear friend and Angie's brother, Teddy Russell, President and CEO of Russell Landscape Group. Teddy, thanks for coming.
Thank you guys so much for having me.
Yes, sir. And across the table we have Mr. Stan Hall. Stan, when I read your resume, it makes me want to just go crawl back into bed. Stan is the Chief Operating Officer of Explore Gwinnett, the Gwinnett Convention Visitors Bureau, the Executive Director of Gwinnett Sports Commission in the Gas South District,
right.
The recently renamed Gas South District. Executive Director of Gwinnett Championship Foundation PGA Tour, the Champions Mitsubishi Electric Classic, and former Director of the Gwinnett DA's office. And you've also got a degree I just learned from the FBI National Academy in Quantico, Virginia. So you got a lot of stories to tell.
What's the old saying? A blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Yeah, you
right?
found a couple of them.
There
it
you
looks
go.
Like.
There you go.
I don't know if you call it blind squirrel anymore. So this is the podcast where we get to ask what's going on inside your businesses and inside your world. Stan, we can start with you because you got a lot going on inside your world for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation to be here today, and especially with all of you who I also consider to be great friends. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
But yeah, as you know, and as you may have heard or read, we officially changed the Infinite Energy Center to the Gas South District. We had our soft opening on Tuesday, and then that will continue over a period of about a month to where we actually unveil the actual signage to be designated as the Gas South District. It's an exciting opportunity for us that we're looking forward to. Gas South obviously is a great company based here in Atlanta. The Infinite Energy relationship we had for about 6 years was really also incredible. But they weren't based in Georgia. They were based in Gainesville, Florida. So the activation of that naming rights sponsorship we had with them was somewhat challenged, more so for them than us. But now Gas South here in Atlanta, and they're very well versed in sponsorship such as ours. They're very prominent at Truist Park with the Braves. Mm-hmm. So we're definitely looking forward to that and think it's going to be a great opportunity for them and for us.
That's great. Now the Gas South District, it encompasses the Gas South Arena, which was the former Infinite Energy Center. And then what else is considered part of the Gas South District?
All the facilities on our campus will become the Gas South District, and as you said, it will become the Gas South Arena, Gas South, and we are going back to the convention center connotation rather than the forum, and then also the Performing Arts Theater.
Okay.
So the area will be designated as a district as opposed to the old Infinite Energy Center label that we used in the past. But they assume the naming rights for all of the facilities on our campus.
Understand. And there's currently a big renovation expansion project going on. When's the estimated time to wrap that project?
Well, it's a multi-phase project. Obviously, the thing that we're paying our closest attention to now is the expansion of what was our forum, which is now our convention center. Really adds about 100,000 square feet of open span exhibit space and meeting rooms, which gives us, behind the Georgia World Congress Center, we think will be the second largest convention space in the state of Georgia.
How about that?
So the expansion portion of that project gets turned over to us in November of this year. Once we occupy that space, then we'll close down the existing convention center space for renovations, and then we'll get that about midway through 2022.
Okay.
Obviously, the hotel, the Westin Hotel with Concord Hospitality out of North Carolina, that project is under construction now. We hope we'll get it about the same time we get the completed convention center, because they're connected, number one. So we hope that by the end of 2022, that whole project is complete, including the hotel.
Got it. I did see that not too long ago, maybe in the past year, that when it was still the Infinite Energy Center, it was up for an award of one of the best arenas, I think, in the country, right?
It was, and not in the country, in the world.
Wow.
There is a classification, obviously based on capacity size, but for our size, which for a show including seats on the floor for a typical concert, we did receive a nomination as one of the outstanding venues in the country, and we certainly agree with that. But it's always very nice to see people, your peers, your industry, recognize you as that as well. So we were privileged to get that nomination. So
yeah, that's a tremendous honor. That's really cool. It's one of the 5 finalists, I think.
It was.
Yeah.
It absolutely was.
That's very cool. Well, good. I know you've been busy. You've been all over the news. 2020 was undoubtedly a real challenging year for y'all. I can't imagine there was a lot going on in sports and entertainment.
Well, I tell the story now that's much easier to tell than when it was actually in time. But in March of 2020, we had just completed 3 events at the arena that were all sold out, including the Rafi Nadal tennis exhibition. And we were just on a path in 2020 to go to a place that we had never been before as far as our net financials. And I had a meeting with our full staff and made that proclamation that 2020 is the year that we'll beat all records as far as our business is concerned. And then 3 weeks later, we're bringing that same staff back together and saying we may have to shut the door.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
It happened that quick.
Yeah.
Totally unexpected. And like everybody else, Teddy and I have talked about this with his business as well. We just had to adjust, and some very, very difficult decisions were made. But we did prevail. Now things are picking back up, not only nicely, but very rapidly as far as the events on our campus. And we're starting to bring folks back that unfortunately we had to furlough based on the COVID experience.
Good.
But it was a very difficult year, and our arena, for example, we were dark for almost 8 months.
Jeez.
And that's an event, or that's one of our facilities where, we're very seldom dark on any given day over there.
Yep.
So to shut it down for that period of time was not only heartbreaking but devastating, and to our business model.
Yeah.
But again, the news is much, much better now, and we took advantage of some opportunities we had to do some things during that downtime that we couldn't have done with a full event schedule. So all in all, we feel really good, better than we have felt in a long, long time about where we are moving forward as a total business product over there.
Well, it's an exciting time right now for everybody on the whole, but particularly for organizations like you guys who really just had to shutter the doors for a while.
Absolutely. Yep.
Y'all have got a full capacity event coming up in June, I think, in the middle of June.
We do. And the big news for us is that Governor Kemp, we were under executive orders based on reduced capacity, even when we were trying to come back in early 2021. That was released 2 weeks ago. So we're selling our concerts that we now have on sale at full capacity, which makes all the difference in the world.
I suspect it
for
does.
promoters and for talent that are looking for a place to play. It doesn't make any sense for them financially to come into a building of our size for 3,000 people.
Yeah.
So those tickets are out on sale now. All of them are selling very briskly. We've had one big announcement that I'm afraid to say it because I can't remember if it comes out this week or next, but it'll also be one that will sell out within
Musical
an hour.
act.
Pardon?
Musical act.
Musical act. But we've already put several on sale that are selling. I think they'll sell out. Mercy Me, which is a faith-based group, always does well in our building. Those tickets went on sale 3 weeks ago and are nearing capacity. So we feel really good about where we're headed as far as our concert business is going.
That's great. Very exciting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Teddy Russell, how you been, man? Old friend Teddy Russell.
Well, I'm above ground, which is always good.
Yes, sir. So you guys had an interesting 2020, no doubt, and now we've got a whole new set of challenges in 2021. Those of us who rely heavily on manpower to do what we do, but walk us through what Russell Landscape went through when the pandemic hit and the whole world came to a halt.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, just great to be here, obviously, with my sister and fraternity brother here. If you guys don't know, Stephen and I go way back. Stephen being from Waycross and us from Norcross, we've always had that connection, the old cross.
The Southern Cross.
And then obviously with my good friend Stan, and I will say the Gas South Arena now is just a phenomenal place. I mean, all the concerts and all the events, and I got to play in the Mitsubishi Classic. Stan's getting a call right now. He's gonna. That may be the new music venue that we're about to get. So, but just going through the last year, there's a couple things. One is, I guess you start to feel a few notches on your belt, and that's a good thing. We've all been through the recession of 2008, and going through that, I got a chance to learn a lot early on in my career. So when we hit, I know it was. I can tell you, Friday, March 13th, we really went. We practiced our first remote office day. Being a commercial landscape contractor, we work outside, which is fantastic. But we have an office staff that we had to make sure was safe and protected, and also being able to continue to operate our business. We can't do a lot without paying and sending the bills and making sure we have insurance and all the things that go there. So, really from the experience I had from the recession was, the one thing I wished I had done better was just being more aggressive faster. Mm-hmm. And so I came in, and I think everybody thought I turned into Bill Russell and said, hey, we're doing this as fast as possible. We no more discretionary expenses, no more, we're not buying anything. We are, all branch managers were required to be in the yard with the guys in the morning. I was in the yard with the guys in the morning. Everybody was engaged with the team. I mean, we put the action plan in so fast. I was really proud of how quickly we adapted. But being a landscape contractor, we realized pretty quickly we became an essential service contractor, thank goodness. So we were able to continue to work. So we had to make sure our team was safe, and all the rotation of people coming in, and the mask and the protocols, going from water coolers to all the things we had to think about were all put into place extremely fast, and things opened back up for us. We did some really cool things, working for a family business. My sister and I both grew up in it. We really got to see my dad create the DNA of our company, and we're a faith-based company. We're also a family business. And one thing I learned is, you can put all the goals in place, and we want to be the largest and the biggest and financially successful and so forth. But one thing I've learned is you can reach those goals, and if you hit them and you look backwards and you didn't enjoy that journey, it really doesn't matter. And so going through the pandemic, I realized we have a lot of just great people we work with, not only our employees but our customers. Like Mr. Stan here, and we said, what can we do? Because we really feel like we're partners. And so we identified segments of businesses that had really been impacted: hotels, conference, entertainment, restaurants became quickly into that. And we identified each segment and said, hey, if we can continue to be, if it's once a month or biweekly or whatever, we're going to offer, free fertilizer or free weed control. And so we did everything we could, and of course, my eternal optimism, I thought everything was going to be over by April 1st, and of course, I was being there to encourage the team and so forth. Well, this thing went on for, like Stan said, I mean, the arena going dark for 8 months. You start to look around, and you really get nervous. At the same time, we're dealing with just people that want to create ways to get their tenants back in the office space, just saying, hey, how do we create walking trails for our CEOs? We went to a building, and it was a parking lot that usually has 3,800 tenants or people in their building every single day, and it was just like the CEO and 6 other guys and the CEOs out there in June 25th, and it's 100 degrees, and he's on the asphalt just taking a conference call and looking like he's just been run over by a train. And we were able to go into the property manager and say, hey, what if we created if he's outside all the time, feeling more comfortable, let's create a walking trail. And so we did that, and then we did pergolas, and then we did, hey, how can we do outdoor workspace? Well, we need Wi-Fi. Well, let's do some music outside. And so just going through that over the last year just makes you enjoy that journey. Like I said, the recession gives you some perspective of saying, hey, I thought the world was going to end and didn't know if the business was going to make it and all these things. But you look back now and say, it felt like forever then. But when you look back on it, you're like, well, it was just kind of a moment in time.
Right.
And you can have that perspective. And like I said, I guess you have to be getting older to go through these get these notches on your belt. That's the kind of thing that gave me the energy and everything else with the company. Is just saying, hey guys, whatever's going on, I told you it was going to be over by April 1st, 2020. If it's over by April 1st, 2030, we're going to be okay.
Right.
And so anyway, I could go on and on, but it's impacted as much as the landscape industry has been just phenomenal. We get to work outside. Everybody wants to be outside. We're having to help them create outdoor space. We also are in a world right now where there's not enough workers to get the work done. And like you mentioned there in the janitorial and cleaning and COVID operations, there is just not enough people. And we struggle with that. But again, you put, the first thing you have to do is retain the current people.
Right.
And so take care of your people. Richard Branson says, if you take care of your employees, they'll take care of your customers. So we did that. We've got 2 awesome workforce development guys. One of them was used to run a bed and breakfast for my dad in Costa Rica. His name's Chris Watkins, and he is, he's working 24/7. All he does is just recruit. And then if we have a good culture in our company and we retain our people, we feel very fortunate, but it's hard. It's really hard.
That's what it's all about, and I think y'all have done a fantastic job of creating that culture. Needless to say, that reputation, y'all got a great one. I do think it's one of the silver linings of the pandemic is it brought us all outside a little bit more, and in y'all's case, the fact that it happened kind of right when spring was coming alive, that had to be, I suspect that's got to be one of the high points in the season for you.
Yeah. It's good and bad. One is I was like, oh, it's spring.
Yep.
We got to go. The other thing is if it would have been January or December or February, people would have said, hey, let's just put the landscape aside. We'll be okay right now.
Right.
It was springtime and people didn't have a choice.
That's right.
And there was a lot of people saying, hey, well, maybe they're not essential services. I said, well, when you have trash and you have weeds, you have rodents, and then you have insects and your property value degradation and as much as I was like, oh no, it's spring, I was very thankful it ended up happening in the springtime.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Well, I want to shift gears a little bit, and let's talk about why you knocked your sister's tooth out as a child. It's a terrible thing to do. We need to hear an explanation.
Well, I'll go ahead and start and tell the front end of the story.
I still have arrest power from a previous life. So
that's right.
Let's hear this whole story. I want to hear it out loud.
So it was one beautiful Sunday morning, and my parents got me up for church, and Teddy's still sleeping, and I guess I was in 2nd grade at the time because I had one of those little recorders that they give you in school.
A little song flute?
Yeah, song flute. And I thought I'd go in Teddy's room and play a beautiful song and wake him up. So as I did, I got a little too close. And all of a sudden, I see this arm, and he just backhands the flute. And all of a sudden, I felt this kind of pop. And I was like, uh-oh. And he turned around. I wasn't crying or anything like that, but he was like, what? And I smiled, and half my tooth is
I don't know.
gone.
Does the fact that he was sleeping excuse him legally standing?
Yeah.
It does not.
Yeah. It was technically, it was not his fault.
Coupled.
But then Teddy, so he starts panicking. First thing he says is, "Don't tell Mom."
Smart man.
Yeah.
Smart man.
So then he gets the tooth and he puts it in milk because he thinks that's like going to preserve the tooth.
Problem
And
solver.
then we decided to, glue it back in, thinking that was, going to take care of the problem. And then we go downstairs to have breakfast, get ready for church. And sure enough, as I start eating, he comes right back out. My mom turns around. She's like, ah!
Steven, have you ever heard a fish story before? They get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
First of all, may the defense speak here.
That's right.
I don't think this was the first time, and I don't know that it was a beautiful song, and I believe it was really close to the ear. So anyway, it was meant to wake me up.
Song is
Details,
interpretive.
right?
Details. This fish has grown.
Got it. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Let's see. We've got some other good. There got to be a wealth of Russell family stories in here. There's one about Angie stealing some children's books and selling them to get money to buy a dog named Spud.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Part of the story. I mean, do you remember that story? Well, I think it made Mom way more upset than, Teddy. But it was all of his children's books, like the Golden books, Danny and the Dinosaur, the Big Red Dog, and I was determined, as an entrepreneur,
Always been a hustler.
to raise money for a dog. Because my mom was like, I'm not getting you a dog, but if you, get some money for a dog. I was like, all right. So I went in, took all of his books, went down to the little corner of our street. Instead of selling lemonade, I'm selling all my brother's toys and books. And
It keeps your costs down.
Yeah.
That's important.
So, yeah. And so I ended up getting a dog named Spud after Spud Webb.
Go Hawks.
Hey, and if anybody's doing footnotes, Teddy was 17 years old at the time, so just so you'll know.
I believe there was some Matchbox cars and some Star
Oh,
Wars
really?
and
More to it than
Transformers.
just the
and-
books,
yeah,
huh?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this thing could go on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some value to these toys.
Angie, I'm not, like I said, we do have a man of the law over here.
That's right.
That's right.
The theft part of this is when I got to college, I realized that I found out why my car had a dent in it when I was 17. Angie was 14. One of her friends told me when I was in college that they had stolen the car when they were 14 and run it
Took it
into
for a
something.
joyride?
And my dad had really let me have it because he was just big on taking care of the cars and making sure everything. And Angie just watched me get blasted by Dad. Never said a word
And
about
you're
it.
in denial the whole time, like, I
Yeah,
have no idea.
4 years later, I found out it was a friend of Angie, 14 years old, driving around the town.
Everyone knows now I'm not so precious.
We had a good time growing up.
We
Yeah,
did.
I know y'all did. And y'all grew up, practically born Gwinnetians. I know that y'all weren't necessarily born in Gwinnett, but moved here very young, right?
That's right.
83, right?
And Stan, you're also from the Atlanta area, right?
Here,
You're
my whole
from
life
off-
in Gwinnett.
Well, okay, so I'm the only real transplant here.
But you got that cross connection with
That's
the
true.
Waycross.
That's very true. And like half of our fraternity was from Norcross,
right.
so I'm kind of honorary Norcross. That's the way I see that.
You know what I do sometimes if I'm speaking to a group, I'll just say, hey, how many of you guys are like native Gwinnetians? And I've got my hand up, and typically it's the only hand up.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, you'll see a hand in the back room throw up. But it's there's not many folks that are, and we're fifth generation Gwinnett in my family.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah. It's a long, long life all here in Gwinnett County. So.
Well, walk us through. So you started out in law enforcement, and then
Well, actually, it started out as a school teacher.
Okay.
So it gets even worse
Okay.
as I go back. Started off as a school teacher, health and PE.
Mm-hmm.
Taught at a middle school. I would ask you all to go back to your middle school years, and you'll understand why I only did it 1 year. It was like that's those very strange age for children. They're too young to be called adults and too old to be really called children, and there's a lot of smells that take place during that that time. And
I got a middle schooler, by the way.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I did that for 1 year, and so I fell back on, I had minored in criminal justice, and that's where the law enforcement. My dad was a police officer, so I grew up in that environment. But yeah, I did uniformed police officer. I was a detective. I did special assignments on the drug task force, and I think I did everything you can do in law enforcement. And then
was this for Gwinnett County or
yeah, in Gwinnett, and went over to the district attorney's office after about 7 or 8 years in true law enforcement, and that's where my basic career took place with Danny Porter, who until recently was the district attorney. And then was assigned to the board of the Convention and Visitors Bureau as a designee from another board that I sat on, who had a seat on that board. And so when I retired from the DA's office, I made the announcement. I said, hey, I love this board. That's where I met Teddy and Angie's dad, Bill, who is one of my favorite people in the world. And then I made the announcement I was retiring, and one conversation led to another, and that's how I came to be a part of the Convention and Visitors Bureau as far as the leadership staff over there. And then it just has proceeded along up until where we are today. So it's been I've had the best jobs in the world so far.
Well,
we'll see how it goes.
It looks
Stan,
that way.
I remember meeting you then, and I don't know if you remember, my dad introduced us, and you came and spoke to the Community Association Institute about condominiums and HOAs and stuff, and from your perspective.
Yeah.
That's how we ended up meeting. So
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
And we joked about Bill being on the show today, but in case Bill ever hears this podcast, I've told Teddy and Angie, and I've told Bill hundreds and hundreds of times how much I tell her all the time how much I love her dad. But he is one of the most remarkable people I've ever met, one of the kindest people I've ever met, genuine people I've ever met, and I've gone to Bill for advice that has nothing to do with my job, but he's that person that you can pick up the phone and say, Bill, I got a problem I want to talk to you about. And he gives you his complete attention and gives you his honest answer to whatever the question is, his opinion. And without failure, I've always taken his advice, and it has paid off for me time after time after time. So,
yes, sir.
So Bill, if you're listening, I love you, man. I do.
I'll second that. He's always looked out for me, and anytime I need advice or a sounding board, or
Well, he refers to everybody that he likes as a great American, but there's never been a greater one than Mr. Bill himself.
That
I'll
is
tell
true.
you that.
That is true.
I was going to say real quick, I met Stan, or got to know Stan, rather, on a plane to Aruba.
You did?
He sat right
nice.
next to me. He was like, I know you. I was like, I know you.
Yeah. We at the time I was the chairman of the board of the Hudgens Art Center, and we did a dedication for Jackson, and that was the first time I had met Angie. So we had the ceremony, and of course Bill was there, and I don't know if you were there or not, Teddy. You remember that?
Right, I was there.
So the next day, my wife and I were flying to Aruba, and people are boarding on the plane, and we're sitting around, and I look across the aisle, and there's Angie. I said, well, now that's a coincidence. But yeah, ever since then, Angie and I have also been really good friends, and it's also a friendship with both of these two guys here that I cherish as well. So.
Absolutely.
Stephen, it's just hearing these stories, it's what it's all about, getting the relationships, and you can do work and business all day, but having all these stories that we talked about. I mean, both Angie and our parents, we had a lot of fun growing up. They taught us how to roll houses and everything else. but they also taught us morals, and they held us accountable, and they taught us how to not take ourselves too seriously. And as a result of that, we get to follow in both of their footsteps, and meet great people like both of you guys through life, and again, it goes back to that enjoying the journey along the way.
Yes, sir. Well, they did a hell of a good job with both of y'all. There's no
they did.
words around
Well,
that. Yes, sir.
We'll keep it G-rated today.
Yeah. I feel like they partly raised me too. It started from tailgating when I first met them at some tailgate games in college, and hanging out, and somebody introduced me to you folks, and from that point on, like whenever it was game day Saturday, I was like, "Where are the Russells? I'm going to their tailgate."
Yeah,
I think hang out with them.
They went to college with me.
Yeah, they
Literally.
did. Yeah, they did. Stan, I had one more thing I wanted to run by you. So I saw right around in March, I did a little bit of homework, and it looked like one way that you got to get out and escape the pandemic when things came to a halt is you got out on your motorcycles. and got outside and enjoyed
I'm
it.
a motorcycle nut. Much to my wife's chagrin. She reminds me every day how old I am. And are you sure you still need to be riding motorcycles? And obviously my answer is, well, yes, I do. As a matter of fact.
Yes, you do.
But yeah, I'm a big motorcycle guy, and I didn't realize until we talked a little bit today that you were. But it's a great release for me. It puts me at a place of calmness that we all need to get to every once in a while, and people achieve that calmness in many different fashions. For me, it's on a Harley Davidson.
Yes, sir.
And that's a great place for me to be on.
So you got the Harley Cruiser, you got the Beamer Adventure Touring class bike, and then you got the Ducati trail bike.
And I've got every motorcycle I've ever owned. I have my first motorcycle that I had when I was probably 14 years old, a Kawasaki 90.
Okay.
Still runs. I've got a Kawasaki 350 and a 750, the old two-strokes that they used to have back in the day, and I've got them all.
Yeah.
So when I crank them up to charge the batteries, the neighbors, there's usually a police car rides through the area pretty quickly because it gets noisy in my neighborhood. But it's I understand that they will become a time where I probably need to back off the motorcycles a little bit, but I'm not there yet.
Good.
I can promise you that.
So fight it. Keep fighting it.
Absolutely.
I just got a Tiger 900, a Triumph. I was this close. Is that Beamer's a GS? That 1200?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I was this close to a GS, and I really liked it a lot. But actually, I ended up buying the Triumph just because I was going to have to wait a week on the Beamer, and I couldn't stand it.
Well, my dad had a Triumph Bonneville when I was a kid.
Those are beautiful.
And it's still one of the most impressive motorcycles I've ever ridden.
It's classic.
Not only on looks, but people who like motorcycles really like the sound of them. And that Triumph Bonneville had a sound that I've never heard duplicated before. Even since they sort of came back and started, it's a different motorcycle for sure, though.
Yeah.
Well, you be careful on yours, and I'll do the same.
I'll try to. I'm just now getting back out on mine. I had foot surgery, so I've been just like walking by it in the garage for a couple of months now, limping by it, I should say. And it's been calling out to me. I've finally gotten back out on it.
There
and it
you
feels
go.
Great, but
good
anyway.
news. Absolutely.
Well,
I'm going to stay in my car.
Stay on my lawnmower.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's about right.
Hey, my son just turned 16 now. If you guys haven't been through that experience, I believe you have, but that's a whole new world when your son turns 16 or child.
Yeah. So far, so good?
Yeah, so far, so good. He's doing great.
No mysterious dings on the side of the door that he could blame his sister on later?
We had a little deal when he was chopping wood. He was splitting wood, but we got a winch and got him out of there. But
there you go.
Every 16-year-old, that's a whole nother story. I did the same.
Yeah,
it's hard to get mad at him, isn't it, when you've been there?
Yeah, it's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
That's right.
There you go.
Right.
Well, guys, I think we're probably getting pretty close to wrap it up time, right? Yep. So just want to thank y'all for taking the time to come in. Always a pleasure to sit down with y'all. And,
Absolutely.
Hopefully we got where's the visit this year? It's not Montreal, it's Austin, right?
Austin,
Coming
Texas,
up in the fall.
yeah.
So I think I met you originally
That's right.
in Denver.
You're both going?
I'm going.
I'm going.
All right.
All right.
All right.
We'll have another conversation.
Angie will
then,
put you
right?
in
There
the cargo.
Well, look. And we do got to work on. I think Bill Russell needs to be our next guest on this show.
All right. Careful what you ask for.
Somehow or another. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, really enjoyed
Thank
it.
you to you and Level 7. So you guys
Yes,
keep
sir.
doing great things.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So, everybody out there listening, thank you very much for joining us on What's Going On in There, presented by Level 7 Facility Services. Be sure to join us for the live broadcast every month here on Business RadioX. If you missed the live broadcast, no worries. You can enjoy the show anytime by visiting businessradiox.com, selecting the Gwinnett studio, and clicking on What's Going On in There. This program is also available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you enjoy your favorite podcasts. Please be sure to subscribe to our show so you don't miss any of our future episodes. For my esteemed co-host, Angie Russell, and our guests, Stan Hall and Teddy Russell, I'm Stephen Tomlinson with Level 7 Facility Services, and you've been listening to What's Going On in There on Business Radio X.